After Dark by Mr.Kitty consists of 4 different sections, all of which are comprised of the same 2-chord progression. Before jumping in, a few things to note. If you are looking for tabs for After Dark, you can locate them on my Patreon. They can be accessed by either becoming a paid member or as individual purchases within my shop. Something that I heavily consider when I'm transcribing different instruments for guitar, be it sax solos, piano progressions, or vocal melodies, is am I trying to capture the tonal integrity of that instrument and recreate it on guitar? Am I going to try to emulate what that instrument was doing, but just if it was written for guitar? And that was something that I definitely cited on with this transcription. One thing that I like to do in my playing is that if I can keep the tone, especially that of a melody, the same and consistent on guitar, then I will do so by keeping it on the same string. So as we start setting up these verses and these choruses, a big reason to why I'm playing them in these positions and in these ways, aside from trying to maintain the melodic and vocal integrity, is because of that. I want that tone to be consistent, and if I'm playing on a fat string, then I want it to be fat. If I'm playing it on a thinner string, then I want it to stay thin. As always, this isn't the right way, it's not the wrong way, it's just a way. The intro, the hauntingly beautiful progression featured on piano, seemingly in the distance, to my ear sounds like it has a lot of sustain and legato, which can be achieved on guitar through a lot of reverb. And if I'm going to try to have my notes in these chords sustain as much as possible, then something that I'm considering is chord voicings with the minimal amount of movement as possible. Thus, I have dropped the E flat major and G minor chords into this 3rd fret position, the 1 to the flat 6. Hallmark chord progressions and intervals that define post-punk and dark wave as genres. Something that's helpful to note as we piece this together is that these chord progressions are moving in 2-bar phrases, 2 measured phrases. So once he plays one chord in one measure, he will play it the exact same way in the 2nd measure, and that will complete a phrase. And that will also kick off the 2nd half, but only the 1st half of the 2nd half. Here's what I mean. So with E flat, we have this E flat on the 6th fret of this 5th string, while we bar the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings at the 3rd fret. Yes, we are barring across the 1st string too, but we're not going to end up playing it. So I'm preemptively setting up my G on the 5th fret of the 4th string as well. So we hit E flat, the 6th fret twice. That sends us to D, which we will also hit twice, and then that gets us up to B flat, the 3rd fret on the 3rd string that we hit once. We will hit E flat on beat 1, and then E flat to D through beat 2 from 2 and when we hit that D on the and of 2, it sets us up to hit the and of 3 with that same D, and then come down on B flat for beat 4. So it'll be 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And as per usual, within all my lessons, I start subbing out the picking amounts or the actual beats with language. So this is 2 hits from E flat to D, so 2 hits, we'll need a 2-syllable word, that'll be taco. It'll be 1, taco, go up, 1, taco, go up. And that sets us up to the G flat, the G minor chord. So same exact position, same exact rhythm, same exact hits. But now using G, that 5th fret on that 4th string that we preemptively set up, or you don't have to if you don't want to, but either way, it's coming now. So we have G, taco, go up. And then the second half is where it starts to change. We start it the same way with G, taco, then hammer. And across beat 4, we hit B flat, just like we did before on the downbeat of 4. And then we add that C on that 5th fret of that 3rd string. 1, and then we hammer. G, and then we hammer. I'm hammering, you don't have to hammer, you can pick it. To me, it sounds more fluid and legato that way. So once we get this idea of the movement down, of what each chord is doing, the idea behind the bar is that it will sustain all those notes very, very nicely. So once we play that first half, the second half is pretty much going to be the same. The only difference is instead of the ending of that G minor phrase being that hammer from B flat to C, we hit G, then we go up to the 6th fret, the F on the 2nd string, and we'll hit F twice, and then we'll use the 4th fret, E flat, to pull against that 3rd fret, D. G, then pinky taco. G, then pinky taco. G, then pinky taco. So as we set this up over the beats, we have 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. So rhythmically, it's still exactly the same as what happened earlier. We just shifted some of the notes, and that entire G phrase, the second G phrase, will be G, then first go up, G, then pinky taco. As we maintain that bar at the 3rd fret, that is what sets us up and anchors us to go back to that E flat and repeat the progression in its entirety. So here's that whole intro. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, taco, go up. 1, taco, now G, G, taco, and up. G, taco, then hammer, pinky, then go up. 1, taco, and here's G, and then taco. G, then pinky, taco. And then we loop. And then we add speed. The verses. So now we have 3 notes for the majority of the verse until we get to the very last measure. So something that the verse does that is pretty common in a lot of verses is that we're going from 2 measure phrases to 4. And once we get to that last measure, that's when we see variation. As we kick off the verse, we are gonna hit the 8th and 10th frets, B flat and C, across beat 2. It'll be 2 and then the end of 3 is gonna hit with that D. 1, 2, and 3, and we will have this big hit with the kick drum on beat 1 that will give us a signal, a cue. 1, 2, and 3, and. When he gets to the 8th measure is when he adds a little bit of variation with his note choice, but not his rhythm. It will still be 1, 2, and 3, and. Instead of C, we will go to the 13th fret to grab E flat, but then we will still conclude this on that 12th fret D. I will cue us when we're halfway, and I will also signal us when we are about to hit that variation at the very end. So here's this verse. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, taco, and then we 1, 2, and 3, and 2 more, 1, and then slide, and then 1. We're halfway, and then 1, taco, and then we 1, taco, and then 1 more, taco, and here's the change, and up, back. And he will run that back 2 times in every single verse. The chorus. There are a ton of different ways to play this. Again, this isn't the way, this isn't the right way or the wrong way. It's just a way. And to me, again, it captures how he moves through this vocally. But if we wanted to call this a day, we could use the piano progression, the way that we voiced that from the very, very beginning. And that will work over the chorus because he sings those exact notes in the same exact way at the same exact moments every single time that chorus gets run back. Otherwise, we can play it like this. I'm grabbing that same E flat from earlier, the 6th fret on the 5th string, but now I'm grabbing with my middle finger, so that way I can set up this slide from G, this 5th fret on the 4th string. I use that G to slide up, and then I slide back down to that 8th fret, that B flat on the same 4th string. And we do it twice, just like we did in the intro. That second time, when we finish on that B flat, that puts you in position to grab that G on that 5th string to make G minor 10th fret. So that way we have G, and we do it again. But if we recall from the beginning, that second G is when we change and vary the endings a little bit, the G minors. We do G once, and the second time, we hit 8 to 10. I'm hammering again because I want that legato sound as much as I can get it. And then we run it back with a different variation on the end. So that first half, just that first half. 1, 2, ready, go. Middle, then slide, now left. Middle, then slide, now G. G, then slide, now left. Here's the change, and hammer. And when we do it the second time, we get all the way up into that second G, and this is where we had the change. We hit the G twice, just like from before. And then we use our ring finger, or you can use any digit you like. You can even slide up from B flat instead of this C. But I'm grabbing my 3rd finger on that same 10th fret, and I bring it down to the 4th string. And then I slide that up to 15, F, and then I pull from E flat to D with my middle finger to my index finger. So here's both halves put together with the 2 different G minor endings. 1, 2, ready, go. Middle and slide, then left. Middle, then slide, now G. Then slide, and here's G. The change, taco, middle, then slide, and left. Middle, then slide, and G. Now up, G, then up, and taco. So the last section that we're going to cover is the bridge. Technically, the last section is the chorus, but he does the chorus every single time the exact same way as we've discussed prior. The only difference is that the last chorus gets a tag and he does it 4 times instead of 2 times. The bridge is going to use that same familiar progression of E flat for 2 bars and then G for 2 bars. And we're going to play this with straight 8s the entire way, like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then the G, ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then back to E flat, ready, and then the quesadilla, enchilada, quesadilla, then we move. 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and then we switch. Quesadilla, last time. And then quesadilla enchilada, quesadilla move to G, quesadilla enchilada, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we would go back into the chorus. If memory serves me correctly, we play that 5 times, which is an odd number, so it kind of feels odd. But the spoken word really sets up the movement and builds everything up, so it doesn't feel like we necessarily have to count it every single time, especially because we can use the lyrics to help us. When he hits with your passions, I was, and then he hits that lost. And that sets us up to go right back into the chorus. If you like this video, then give it a like. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this.